and I am pleased to share with you today a part of my work. I will talk about the circulation of knowledge to adapt to climate change, the case of Vanuatu and New Caledonia. So my name is Samson Jamari, and I am PhD student. My topics, challenges, capacities, and vulnerabilities in face of climate change. So I try to understand the contribution of local knowledge, especially in New Caledonia and Vanuatu. So the main research objective I am, so it's first of all to characterizing agricultural vulnerability. When I say vulnerabilities, is the strength and weakness of farmers to environmental disruption and extreme weather events. So I have some keywords on the field. I try to understand some meteorological and climate hazard, I take care about social aspect also and agricultural practice to understand agricultural practice. The second one is describing how farmers build, mobilize, and transmit knowledge and know-how. So you have to consider it local knowledge in their dynamics. Their dynamics, they move, they change every time, every moment. The third one is assessing the potential of local knowledge for public policies and adaptation strategies. But today, I will try to talk about circulation of this local knowledge. But first of all, I would like to present the definition or the meaning of local knowledge in CLIPSA project. So in CLIPSA project, this definition are building with expert in CLIPSA project, and we take care about some farmer speeches also. So local knowledge are composite of all types of local knowledge. Traditional knowledge, first of all, transmitted currently, so writing, image, and observation. Secondly, so they are from some personal and collective experiences. So water management during drought period or raining season. Knowledge. So on the field, I observed when some practice are coming. So first of all, they are observation. After some time, they discuss about this practice, and also they can test and execute this practice. You know the role of training and media and some NGO. So in Vanuatu especially, there are many training during by NGO and media big influence to local knowledge in this context. Knowledge accurate through education, instruction, other means. So there are sometimes some formal education in the school and informal education also. So outside, they can learn about how to plant species or many types of sharing. I have a point of attention. So I talk about local knowledge, but I would like to say so local knowledge, they are not miracle solutions to the climate change. Okay? So first of all, but this grade can be detrimental to community resilience. So if you go in your house with that, I am already satisfied to my presentation. So, but I think so an integrated approach is necessary. Why? They should consider it as an element of broader adaptive frameworks. So I think so local knowledge are some tools in a box tools, so in the high level. They enable local adaptation, like treating the symptoms of disease according to some farmers. They say, oh, practice we are built together, so there are some treating to the symptom of the climate change. Their valorization can contribute to long-term strategies too. My field in Vanuatu, so I understand. I try to understand some natural indicator they some farmers using sometime. So there is Example here, natural indicators such as plant blooming and animal migration are often used to predict cyclone season in Vanuatu. So there is an example here. A low flight with rapid wing flapping indicate an approaching violent cyclone, permitting to black petrel to seek food as preparatory strategy for impending natural. So sometimes they are looking about petrol activities to understand or not. So if a big cyclone will coming, breadfruit are using to a long stem suggests that even if there is an abundance of breadfruit during the season, it does not necessarily mean a cyclone is approaching. Why I talk about that? Sometimes eh, there are some meteor forecasts who say it will be raining or it will be drought. So sometimes they observe some sign in their environment to say, yes, I I have faith in this information. Or so I don't see anything in my environment who announce so it will be raining or not. So sometimes they combine some local observation and forecast information. Do you do something? Oh, sorry. And environmental and climatic knowledge relies on presses and transgenerational observation of natural cycle. So there are many authors are describing these some information. So Catherine Sabino, Sean, you can see here. You can go on the literature. So there is another farmers interview I project here. So is farmers from La Foi. He told me so certainly since the La Nina periods, I have been experimenting with yam varieties from ADECAL. ADECAL, it's an institution, economic institution who promoted some species or sometimes with I didn't do before. La Nina forces me to learn and change my many things in my field. I have a connected field now, and he's laughing. And however, I still make sure to have wajra. Wajra is a yam, chef yam in Mare, sugarcane, and kanak cabbage. So, the farm building, so it's a modern, I can say it's a modern farms, but yeah, they are building like some place are building like a Kanak culture, traditional farm. So why I say that? So because the adaptation can be or can be constructed like diversification of crops, rotation of crop, and all type of association of crops culture. So that what means so adaptation can provide from diverse kind of management. So during my observation on my field, I try to describe the knowledge in three categories. So sometimes I see some talk in Van Bishama, ça mean talk, parler en français. Talk, the spoken word, verbal and discursive transmission, daily oral communication, discussion and technique, formal discourse. So sometimes you have some formal discourse. So intergenerational narratives. So some stories, some songs, some teachings from people. And here, in many interviews I have with young people in Vanuatu, in New Caledonia, they told me about learning learner cycle for yam planting. So when you have a big learner or you have a small learner, so you have a kind of adaptation to plant the yam or other culture like banana or other one. So some knowledge or practice I consider it like no say, the unspoken observation and mimicry, observing agriculture technique and gesture. So here, the last interview, what I'm telling you, it's Henri from 8 Point. tribe in New Caledonia. He told me what I'm tell you. No one dictated me it to me. So he told me. So my grandfather or my parents doesn't take a chair like come. I will tell you what happened. No. So uh, you watch, rewatch, you try to do the same. If doesn't work well, you do differently. And so the second one, learning by imitation and trial and error. So farmers in Sarawan, Santo told me, children are like birds. They observe and imitate their parents. So you don't have some, you have to have someone to tell you what you have to do. So sometimes you just observe and do it. Secret, I don't want to say most thing about it. So some practice are secret. But what you can see, so sometimes are secret. So you have some mark, visible mark. So here it's a manu. So this agriculture told to me, this manu indicate it's a sheaf yam. When I visit, you have to pay attention when you visit a field of sheaf yam. So secret is not only traditional farmers. I see some colors for to protect your farm from they say mauvais regard, and I can try to translate like bad regards. So it's a modern farm in La Foi. It's the farmers use colors too. So during event like extreme event like the cyclone Harold, so you those local knowledge can be transformed, can be moved, can be mobilized differently. So how cyclone? So I gave you here some details. So 18 of triple crops were destroyed, 16 of coconuts. So you have some information about our. So during this cyclone, how our practices and knowledge that accompanies them constructed, circulate, and interconnected in this specific case. First of all, after the cyclone, so you have here, it's the traditional network exchange. So you have every day or all time some boat, some connection inter-island. But during a cyclone, so breakage of traditional exchange cycle due to destroy of roads, port, and access routes. Idras told me this year I couldn't plant because he doesn't have some plant. And so because every time so his wife brings some plant to in her farm because his wife lives in another island. But after the cyclone, his wife cannot bring some plant. Loss of seed reserve. So there are many loss of seed reserve. I will go quickly. Before a cyclone, so you have here a sheet. So someone or people, we told that some key farmers have to speak with local people and say, okay, if you understand the cyclone is G6, so you have to pay attention in Santo before the cyclone. But during the cyclone, those information is traveled between farmers or between local people. So what I see after the cyclone, or what they told me, so I understand acceleration of initiative by Variety C, since Cyclone Palm and Cyclone Herald. First of all, expansion of experimental fields. So yes, Variety C construct some field in their place, but after the Palm cyclone and our cyclone, they extend so in other village. So in Sarawan, Saratu, and Ipayato, those village are here on experimental plot. Strengthening the key farmers network to expedite seed distribution. Key farmers, there are some. Thank you. There is some farmers, principal farmers, who the VRTC gave some seeds, and they have to multiply some seed and after disseminate those seed. improve communication and feedback on the ground. So during my field, I see farmers who came in the headquarter with vanilla, so and tell, my vanilla have some disease, so what I can do? And the idea will say, okay, I will take it and go to VRTC and give you the answer after. I don't know the answer. I will go in the Vanuatu. I will ask them some question about that. Influence of public policies. They receive some ads for they increases their activities on the field. Strengthening the strategy seed stock, yes, during the cyclone, no network exchange traditional network exchange. So during the calm period, so they take advantage to collect some seeds from other island. So adaptation strategies are often inspired by practice observed in other regions. A striking example is the orientation of yam streaks. I see in La Foi, the people put some sticks like that to in the prevailing wind direction to protect those yam during the cyclone or during the raining periods. So in Vanuatu, they do that. They told me so. They learned that about with farmers from Canada, La Foi in Canada. In conclusion, local knowledge is a key component in the adaptation tool kit for environmental and climate change. So they are not some miracle medicine. They dynamics exchange of knowledge between territories where local innovation travel and integrate into different agriculture. But some local knowledge can increase during a extreme event. Local knowledge involving through interaction. I told you in Mare during ceremony activities, I saw some young people come from, especially in Vanuatu, in New Caledonia, or sorry, in Nouméa or La Foi, who came especially for this activity. For evidently, so they are sharing some knowledge with old people. Adaptation strategies are sometimes inspired by practice observed. It's an evidence. Farmers, scientific, and policymakers. So I don't find a word to take here. So, but they have to do something to integrate. I don't know the word. We can talk together about the word we can put here. But they have to integrate local and scientific knowledge for climate adaptation. Doc, thank you so much. And thank you for that.
Thanks a lot, Sanson, for this very interesting talk. We have time for 2 questions. Frank. Frank. Luckily you are here. Mr. Question.
Yes, thank you, guys. Samson, thanks so much. I was just thinking, about people living in urban areas, peri-urban areas. Yes, technically they have access to more relief funds or relief efforts, technically. But what about the growing urban populations that are affected by cyclones, by, catastrophes of all shapes and forms? How do they fit in all these adaptive schemes you were talking about? We're talking about Vanuatu, which I believe is still somewhat predominantly rural, as opposed to urban. But the question is, all those urban populations in Oceania and elsewhere that are affected by tragedies of this sort, what is their level of preparedness? You're talking about resilience, you're talking about transmission of knowledge, and so on and so forth. Where do they all fit in that? I mean, we have like more than 50% worldwide of populations that are disconnected. So what is the plan for urbanites who are affected perhaps even worse than people in rural areas?
So thank you for your question. It's relevant. So from my country, Haiti country, and Vanuatu and New Caledonia. So yes, there is a gap I can understand that on the field there is a gap between rural people and urban people about local or traditional knowledge. And I can say that during my interview, when I ask some people in urban communities, like, what do you think about climate change? So all answer from media or social network, first of all. But when you ask the same question with rural people, sometimes they would like to, they say to you, so about climate change, it's too hard for me because I can't go to my field. I have to go to my field so early and come back like at 9 o'clock, or I have to divide it my day before I go to my field and stay all the day. Right now, I have to divide it. So yes, there is a gap about I take just one example, but after the food they eat in urban community in Vanuatu. So sometimes they eat most times some food from some grocery from magazine store. So yes, and in the urban in the rural community, so many times they eat some local food. So there are many gap, many.
Exercise.
Hypothetically, when we have cyclones, Winston in 2016 in Fiji, I was thinking of all those, although it happened on February 21st. So yeah, I guess the semester had already started. I'm thinking about all those students living on campus at USP, some of them from rural areas, some of them may have some kind of knowledge, but being stuck on campus in an urban area, all this knowledge is pretty much washed away, no pun intended. So again, the growing urban populations, you may have the knowledge, but you're in the wrong environment. You're confined by curfews and so on and so forth. So the thing is, urban settings are both a joy and a prison at the same time.
So I can't give you a response or answer about that. I just observe that there are some gaps or some difference between people from the urban provinces or rural provinces. We can talk about that after. And I have another example to give you too, also about it.
Hi, Samson. Thank you again for your presentation. This is Christian from USP. Just my question is based off what you mentioned on the acquisition of knowledge. You mentioned the unspoken and how farmers have pretty much gone through observation and mimicry to gain knowledge that they have from their fathers and grandfathers. My question is just with climate change and the increased intensity of climate risks and disasters into the future, do you think that there is a cap as to how much this will work? Because as you mentioned now, they've found a few things that have worked and a few things that have not worked. How far do you think traditional knowledge will carry in terms of in terms of reaching a point where what they carry out is nothing similar or all modern? In my question, I guess.
So I can't predict the evolution, but my only contribution in my thesis, PhD, to describing what I observe on the field. So spoken, talk, knowledge, the unspoken, try to describe it like I can. So, but I can't say so. It will be disappear in 10 or 20 years. I can't give an answer right now, But I see evolution sometimes in transformation and transmission of those knowledge. But it's just an observation. But I can't predict anything right now.
Yeah, thanks,
Sorry.
Samson.
Well, okay.
Thanks, Samson. That was
Normally we were supposed to have 3 talks, but apparently we have only 2. No, my question is there is another talk about the tech roots from colleagues from Solomon Islands. Are you there for the talk? No. Yeah, are you here? Oh, good. We have 3 talks. Yeah. La, 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 toot, toot. So very short question from Vanuatu, another one from you. Yes, okay. Pierre, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gilbert, and thank you, Samson, for your presentation. Just a short question for terminologies. At least if I left this room, I will get assured with some definition. So I saw your mind map, and you put on your mind map the traditional knowledge is linked to local knowledge. And is there any difference between the two terms? And also regarding the practices, is there any link between knowledge and practice, local and traditional? Thank you.
So this is a subject of debate, Gilbert. No? So when I say about practices and knowledge, so I say about knowledge who accompanied some practices, you know. But sometimes you can say practices or knowledge. But if I say that, so it's some knowledge who accompany who promote, who, I don't know, dirige those practices. But when I say practices and knowledge, but because if you learn practices, so you learn these practices with some knowledge, some connaissance en français. Donc tu said, well, you talk about the map I projected, the mind map. So yes, that's why I can answer. So practice means knowledge, because when you learn something, your practice, you learn it with the knowledge. That's what I can say.
Last one.
Quick one. Thanks. That was really interesting. Thanks, Samson. I was super interested to hear you mentioned many similarities to some of the my PhD in South Africa with commercial farming as well, and how knowledge is created and shared within a community. But I was wondering if you could elaborate a bit more on the mechanisms by which these sharing happen. If it sounds like it's quite through familial links from father to son type within generations, or are there cases where there's a kind of informal organization of knowledge sharing, which would suggest that there's benefits to that beyond just the family, right? Where different communities gather around. For example, we also found that social capital is a big role, like an enabler of sharing and resilience within this case. So maybe you found something similar.
So yes, I have many things similar from New Caledonia and Vanuatu we can share together. And yes.